All right, now this one is a little bit more detailed. And we can start with the top list for the Chicago, Illinois Regional Champion. I believe his name was Will. He's a pretty cool guy, but he can get annoying if you let him talk too long.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You know, we should get him on the show sometime.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We should interview this guy.
Yeah.
All right. So top list, we have Borg Sphere 4270, captained by Wei Yun, who was also apparently an independent Klingon, with his fleet. Croesus discounted to 4, Goval discounted to 0, and Lee Nollis. So lots of disabled discard stacking there. Also bringing along the RIS Apnex, captained by Martok, who brought along some faked messages, Varel in a cheaper form, 4 points instead of the usual 10, a 1-point Romulan pilot, and a set of cloaked mines. Got a little bit lucky, pulled the Prakesh booster, very nice booster. Came to 29 points because using Tasha Yar with the Klingon fleet captain reduces her cost by 1. So the fleet was actually 119 points. And that actually caused me a little bit of grief. But it was okay grief. But yeah, so in the Chicago Regional, we had 14 players. And the TO made the executive decision to go straight into the elimination rounds. He did take a vote beforehand, and I will say that I voted for to continue going on to the Swiss rounds. But the way it turned out, you know, it wasn't too bad, and it was probably better than playing all the way till 10 o'clock at night. I suppose it could have gone something like 3 Swiss rounds and then cut to like a top 8 or a top 4 instead of top 16.
Mm-hmm.
But hindsight, what ifs, you know, who knows? So what am I going to say here? I guess I can just should I go over the rest of the top 4 builds, or should I just go over my little climb to the top?
The rest of the top 4 builds, I don't really think there was anything that's special, right? It was 2 Evade Voyagers and
the guy that I didn't face, so I don't remember, so I didn't get a chance to see him.
Yeah.
I believe it was Borg Sphere, Lore, Vulcan High Command, Projected Steel.
Right,
this was weird.
Yeah, it was the guy who for some reason decided to do a Wayun Barrel cube and then drop Barrel for Lore.
Or drop Wayun for Lore.
Wayun.
Yep. So not infinite, but he still could get, you know, a couple 2 or 3 extra attacks out of it. And to be fair, I mean, a lot of the time that's all you're going to need unless you are facing against another Wayun Varel combination. Because just negating 3 attacks outright would probably get you by a lot of the standard builds, or the lower tier builds with like the Klingons or some of the other weird things that I found during the day. But yeah, that'll probably be a topic for a later episode. Just how much defense do you really need? And over defending.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Klingons are on the rise again, I'm really starting to see the value of some of the projected Wayun Barrel diamonds that can cancel 3 attacks around reliably.
Yeah. Glad the diamond wasn't released yet. Well,
yeah,
legal yet anyway.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I guess we may bring that up later, but that's going to warp some metas for sure.
Mm-hmm. So this is the 4th place list. Lower Barrel Process, Goval costs. He also had a Janice Rand Superior Intellect combo, so he could run in, Stasis Field someone, and then immediately steal something. Borg Missile for the Ox tokens because it's fun. And he managed to pull the Scout Cube, equipping it again with Proton Beam and the Tactical Drone Captain instead of the Dispersion Field, which I think the Captain is a little bit better of an idea. Even though he's still not as useful because he's the one that removes auxiliary tokens, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But having a skill higher than 1 can definitely come in handy.
Yeah.
Probably more so than the distortion field.
I'm looking at that fourth place build we're discussing, and to me, it's just reinventing the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, projected stasis field. Janus ran superior intellect is cute, but just use Croesus.
Yeah, it can steal some of the cool Borg upgrades from other builds, but against like a Wayun and Wayun cost Varel thing, Croesus is, and he does also have Croesus.
Okay, I'm just completely mystified now. I have no idea what this guy was up to.
Doing the same thing 2 or 3 different ways, I guess.
Yeah, everything to me in this just screams take Wayun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there you go. He's not reinventing Croesus. He's reinventing Croesus recursion with Wayun.
Mm-hmm. Trying to be... seeing if he can make maybe a slightly less cheesy version, I guess.
That's not a thing I would do in a regional, Will. I would take the best available technology.
So would I.
And you won.
I did, but yeah, no, definitely an interesting list and things to just see and check out. But yeah, I don't see any reason why Wayun didn't have to be on this list. I guess because I guess he's trading out Wayun for the free Vulcan High Command and getting the extra crew slots that way. Did make it all the way to 3rd place, though, or 4th place.
That's true.
All right, so 3rd place. This was the guy I fought in round 3. We had 4 elimination rounds, and 1 guy got a bye in round 2. We did actually end up going through all of these sector conditions. For this one, I believe it was... I don't even remember what it was. It was either the halved attack or the range 2 thing. But this is a Wayun conditional surrender Voyager build, and from what I understand after talking to him, it wasn't specifically meant to revolve around Wayun and conditional surrender. But I mean, if you already have it, I mean, what else do you need per se?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I called the guy out on that on the thread, and he was a little.
But he's got Wayun, Admiral Kirk, Koss for some protection, Sakona and Balana for free slots. I got him a couple 3-point antimatter mine upgrades, a set of transphasic torpedoes, a secondary torpedo launcher, and a feedback pulse. Loading up on the weapons. Yeah, so David, what do you think about this build? I'm going to put you on the spot.
I like the antimatter mines. I think they've got potential since they stay on the map. I like feedback pulse there. That's a good way to actually hit back against some of these super cubes, super spheres we're seeing. It's just so inefficient, I guess. I mean, you can answer this. When he conditional surrendered, who did he save?
Koss, of course.
Yeah, but to me, there's no crew worth saving because Balana does all her work in setup. Sakona does all her work in setup.
So they're fine to lose with conditional surrender.
Right.
I think what David's asking is, what is Koss protecting? Theoretically, you should have already feedback pulsed at that point. And, I mean, what are they going to steal? Antimatter mines? Which, by the way...
By the way?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought Dave was about to say something there.
Oh, I was just going to chime in. I mean, stealing antimatter mines doesn't do the Borg ships any favors other than you can't use them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the flip side of that is that, unlike you, I don't value antimatter mines very highly at all. To me, antimatter mines, I mean, these aren't cloakers. You have to hit that token, you know? And let's be real here. I mean, unless you're running against surprise Klingons, you are playing against the Borg, who should never hit an antimatter mine, or the most maneuverable ship the Federation has. You know? I mean, I get maybe that they're trying to use it as an attack where you don't roll defense dice. Maybe that's the point, but to me, I would not spend 9 points on antimatter mines, especially since I can only use one of them per turn, and especially since it costs me my attack.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose it is neat that they go around and if you can lay them in front of a ship, you can either force that ship to turn aside, or the fact that are you typing, Tucker, or something? You're getting really loud.
I'm sorry, say it again, Will?
You're getting really loud over there. I'm getting a lot of noise from your microphone.
That's weird. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Give me 1 second.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that. Did that fix it?
Maybe? I hear nothing.
Yes?
Sounds good.
You hear nothing? Sounds good? Okay. Yeah, I need to, so since this happens pretty much every time, let me just apologize to the folks at home. I only have a built-in microphone for my laptop to speak on, so I'm looking into other options for that. That'll give me less environmental noise, but for now, that's what it is, and I'm sorry.
Gotcha. So, back to antimatter mines.
Right.
The other thing about antimatter mines is if you hit them when they're not dropped as an attack, you cannot negate them. They are not an attack, they are an obstacle at that point. Which can be pretty handy to do some extra damage to other kinds of Weyoun shenanigans. But
yeah, you shouldn't hit them though. I mean that was my point about Voyager and the Borg.
Mm-hmm. Don't look at me like that. I'm doing a show. Go.
Cat.
Sorry. Yep. She misses me since I've been gone.
Yeah, clearly what this means is WizKids needs to give us a recording studio. That's clearly the answer.
I don't know. I think she'd follow me to the recording studio. But, yeah.
My other question on this build, why the Dominion flagship?
For the free target lock?
Has to be. I mean, if they're using trans...
Because they're not... Well, you're not really getting...
weapon slot.
I'll say with all... It gives you a weapon slot. It gives you a talent slot, doesn't it?
Already getting that from Admiral Kirk, though.
There is that. I feel like that was just a bit of an extra boost, and for Kirk's, disabling ability with the blind.
Yeah. He's got to be doing it for the weapon slot, and then to have battle stations on transphasics.
You mean the target lock? But
target lock and battle stations.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Romulan does give you a weapon.
Why not take the Romulan? You get the weapon, the crew, the battle station, and then you get an attack instead of a hull.
Yeah, you get the agility both. That is a mystifying decision to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can see the point, because with the Romulan one versus this one, I mean, you're getting the extra attack, but for the most part, Voyager's either using secondary weapons or it's 360 arc. So the +1 attack really isn't helping that much. Whereas on the other hand, this gives you the extra, what is it? The extra 1 hull. Could make a difference.
Would?
Well, I still killed it, but...
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
The way he ran it is he sent the Voyager in at top speed, and he kept the scout cube, all the way back behind so that it wouldn't be ever in the line of fire. Oh, so how this game went. I got a picture here, maybe. Was it this one? Nope, that was round 2 for me. Alright. So, I set up on my side of the board pretty well. I was keeping close to, range 1 of the board for the most part in my previous games. Because I haven't had that much chance to, practice my build against other people that much. So I was still experimenting a little bit as we got into the final rounds, which is another reason I wanted these Swiss rounds, because, you know, sometimes it takes people a round or two to get warmed up and really get into the strategic mindset. But let's see. I ended up moving my science vessel 4 forward on that turn. Even on the other side of the planet, you know, kind of across the halfway point, his 6 forward Voyager on the front side of the planet did a 6 forward and was still able to actually have me in arc.
Wow.
So my cloaked Martok took a shot round 1 from a transphasic torpedo because he was able to get a target lock that first turn.
Ooh, that's rough.
Well, it's not like he was
So
going to use the transphasics on anyone else, at least.
Well, that actually leads to my question. So, Will.
Yes.
In San Diego, the guy who ran the VO in the same way you ran the Apnex, had the following happen to him. Turn 1, meteor shower. His ship got hit and lost its shield. Turn 2, the ship took a crit into direct hit, which blew the ship up. Your response?
Well, that is a great series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, but my
was not favorable with his dice.
No, he really wasn't. But my question here, Will, is what happens if that happens? I mean, or if you have some kind of quick attack build, a Voyager going 2 straight 6 forward that manages to take your Martok out turn 2. I mean, what do you do if you're? I mean, assuming you grab barrel turn 1, you know, you might be fine. But what happens? Sorry?
And I always do grab barrel turn 1.
I mean, that's the assumption. But what happens when you lose so many of your options from your toolbox by virtue of said toolbox being blown up?
What actually happened was Weyoun on a sphere still wrecks everything else. I mean, that's the simplest answer that I have. It's just my main contingency plan for anything going wrong with my build was that I was playing Borg. And it pretty much worked. I have faith in the power of Borg is what I'm going to just put that as, but if
that's really depressing.
If that doesn't speak to how overpowered I think the Borg are, I don't think anything else will.
That's really depressing.
Isn't it? But yeah, there were a lot of games that Martok actually wasn't as useful as he could have been. There were a couple matches he never got off his cloaked mines. He did die occasionally, but usually after getting the extra action in the first round or two was usually good enough. Because I Croesus something, I use Martok's additional action to undisable Weyoun or undisable whatever I just stole. And I'm usually going in with a full fresh sphere with Weyoun and 4 crew slots, maybe 5 crew slots of cool things to do. And after that, he managed to hunt down the Prakesh, but once he got that, there was nothing he could really do against the sphere. There was the idea that he could try to run away and go to time. And the reason he did not was because he didn't want to, you know, he just didn't want to play that way. But in the next game, my next opponent tries to do that, and it doesn't work out so well for him. Which is kind of funny. So, before we go on to that, anything else against this Weyoun Voyager build? I like the ideas of the mines, but I just don't think they're the good enough mines.
No,
yeah, that's
my.
Because the Borg, in theory, can so easily avoid. The same reason cloaked mines aren't amazing against the Borg. Sure, they have to detour, but big deal.
I will say, though, that transphasics plus secondary torpedo launchers could do a lot of damage to, like, a double sphere build.
Yeah.
That's true.
and combine that with Feedback Pulse. Oh, that is one thing. I'm not sure I really like Feedback Pulse on this build.
I don't. Feedback Pulse, I really liked when it came out, and that's when I realized it gives you an Aux token.
And Aux tokens suck.
I mean, look, this entire meta is currently being defined by a weapon that gives out Aux tokens just because it gives out Aux tokens.
Mm-hmm. And for the same part, I remember when he used it against me, I had a target lock on him, so I rolled something like 4 hits, target locked it down to 2, and he ended up evading one of them with his 3 defense dice he had to roll. Which, to be fair, he was not aware that you do have to roll defense dice when using Feedback Pulse. But yes.
Well, at least he didn't have the whole super defense Voyager.
Now, yeah, that is true. But besides that, you know, it was nice being able to just steal. He didn't have any real good stealing protection because his stealing protection got stolen.
Yeah.
Poor guy. All right. Moving on to second place. We have Alex, my finals opponent. This was a very evady Voyager. It had a couple different tricks changed from... from the Texas list. It was running Voyager, the Romulan independent flagship, the one with 3 battle stations, Captain Picard, Cheat Death, Admiral Kirk, the Needs of the Many. It had Pavel Chekhov, the one that removes Aux tokens, Montgomery Scott, Tom Paris, Elizabeth Shelby, 2 sets of antimatter mines. I guess that this... I'm pretty sure both of these guys were local, and antimatter mines played a big part in their local meta.
Why? Why would
Maybe they still had problems with Klingons. Oh, I should mention that they've been playing Faction Pure up there in the stores, I think.
Say again?
I believe they're playing Faction Pure up north at a lot of the stores around Chicago.
Ah, so antimatter mines are marginally less terrible.
Mm-hmm. And he had the multi-adaptive shields. And he nicknamed his blind booster the Pickle.
I like that. That's clever.
What was his line?
I should probably mention that he was also like a 10-year-old kid. But he's for his young age, he's a darn respected local player apparently.
You're only saying that because you beat a 10-year-old kid to take the prize.
Shush! You can't prove that. It's not my fault that he rolls more than 80% on his defense dice. Swear, he's got to be cheating somehow. I'm going to find out.
Hey, Tucker, the little kid got everything that Will got except glory, honor, and the shiny cube.
And his own show.
That's true. I mean, the shiny cube doesn't come with cards, does it?
Not yet. It's they're in the mail soon.
I believe that. I will believe that when I see it.
And what the question is, are they going to go to the store or are they going to go straight to me? Because, oh. But, for our second place build, what do we think about this one? The couple changes that it made.
I don't like the Needs of the Many. The only time I like that, and this is situational, but it's when you have someone like Cyrano Jones or Belana Torres, who you can get rid of because they don't provide any benefit during the game.
Because in this case, he'd have to discard someone that's actually being useful at some point.
Right. Chekhov, Scotty, or Paris, all 3 of which have good abilities.
But trading that off for bringing back, what is it, 3 shields?
Or 3 hull.
It can be shields or hull, as I recall.
Yeah.
So if he can get shields back up, or he can also he could be using it to repair terrible crits, like a warp core breach or something, and he can use it to bring shields back up so he can keep using multi-adaptive shields. And it's pretty speedy for what it takes. If you just needed shields, he has Montgomery Scott's second ability, which is pretty useful.
Right.
But besides that, he usually has everything pretty well set on there until someone decides they want to steal every single one of his crew.
So you had a Wayoon Super Cube with Paris, Scotty, and Chekhov?
And Scotty. I took all of them.
Oh, you grabbed Shelby too?
Yep. I think first I took Scott because he was doing a lot of damage with him, so I wanted to get him out of the way.
Right.
And his shield regeneration could come in handy. After that, I took Shelby so he wouldn't be re-rolling. And every time I think I turned off his multi-adaptive shield, so at least his regular action would have to be spent re-enabling those for the most part.
Right.
Because he always wanted that active.
That's
and while
weird.
he was doing that, that meant while he was doing that, that usually meant that he wasn't James T. Kirking me.
Yeah.
Which could have been annoying.
that seems to be that seems wrong to me.
That he would rather re-enable than James T. Kirk me?
Yeah.
It's a definite possibility. Disabling Croesus or something probably would have been a good idea, but
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, let's remember he's 10. He's probably gotten through all of his matches so far just by rolling 10 defense dice all the time, and it's worked for him. But
yeah, well, in a meta that thinks it's an awesome idea to take 3 antimatter mines, I guess so.
But yeah, you got to remember, these are things that he's never seen before. So trying to make hard strategic decisions on the fly. In the last, what was it? Like the last 6 rounds, he started to try running away from me after he had killed both my other ships.
Ah,
and just like as his previous opponent was loudly proclaiming during our game. It's like I could have run away and it would have been fine. So poor Alex tried this, and since Voyager's fast, but since he had to go around the outside of the edges of the board, and I could cut through the inside with my magnificent maneuver dial, he was always in arc of me, and I always got to shoot him every turn. He stopped shooting at me because he feared the Aux tokens, and after about 5, it took him like 5 or 6 rounds to figure out that wasn't going to get him, that wasn't going to save him.
oh boy.
At which time I started stacking actions like we enable Wayoon. Okay, he didn't attack me this turn. I'll get a target lock. Okay, he didn't attack me this turn. I'll Scotty. So I would start throwing enough dice over his defense total that he couldn't avoid them as effectively.
Well, I'll say this. Good job, guy in the finals. Good job getting there, and good job beating that guy who loudly proclaimed how he could have won the match, because I consider beating people like that a public effing service.
He was a cool guy, though. It was great playing with everyone there, so I enjoy it, and it was definitely seeing things that I hadn't seen before. But yeah, anything else for this build? Any ideas about, I don't know, anything? Not bad. I mean, would you rather take transphasics than the antimatter?
Did any of your matches go to time? Did any of your matches go to time?
No.
Or was everything within the hour?
No, everything died within the hour.
Okay.
Yeah, that fleet point sheet of Will just killed everyone.
120, 120, 120. Oh, I should mention that my third round opponent which was the other Voyager build. He was one of the guys that got the bye in the second round. He was the one guy that got the bye in the second round. How many people were in attendance of the Chicago event, Alexander? That was there were 14 total, and we ended up cutting to the top 16 to start with. So it was a bit of a shorter event, but it worked out. So pretty cool. Moving on to the winners list.